Director Rob Reiner was the guest on Later with Bob Costas on April 29th, 1992. And the topics focused upon his filmmaking career. And Spinal Tap was in reunion mode, so he talks a lot about that, about the film Misery, and mostly about making When Harry Met Sally and not playing the Billy Crystal role and the pain of comedy. This is a great episode.
Playboy's 1992 Playmate of the Year on Entertainment Tonight.
Thanks for staying up later. This is the first of two shows with Rob Reiner, so if we don't get to whatever interests you most about him tonight, maybe tomorrow. A Few Good Men, which of course was a Broadway play, a military courtroom drama, is the next movie project for you. That comes out in December. Right. Talk about that in a little bit, but let's go talk about it now, because I saw your mouth start to move.
Well,
so
actually, you know, I wasn't going to talk about it now. I was going to talk about something else now, but we can get around to it. I want to talk about the fact that you're one of my idols, and I'll tell you why. First of all, how old are you?
40.
40, and that's why you're my idol. Because you never have a sentence that blows a syntax. You never bobble, you never stumble, you are wonderful extemporaneously, and I look at you and I marvel, because at 40 some of your skills should be breaking down, and they're not. And I keep looking to see if you're going to start messing up words or stumbling or losing your place or forgetting a name or something like that, which people over 40, I mean, I can't remember my name, so I mean, it's like, you're a marvel to me.
Now you put a lot...
I put a lot of pressure on you, and I'm also hoping that you eventually start breaking down.
A lot of
because
pressure.
Then I'll feel a lot better.
See, because if it happens sometime in the next 2.5 hours, you can pretty much draw a line in the sand and say, this is where it began. This is where his decline starts.
You see how articulate he was just then? See how perfect, you see how perfectly he strung those words together? That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Now, your first movie was Spinal Tap, right?
Right.
What percentage of the audience do you think got it? And what percentage thought, they made a movie about these jerks?
Yeah, I think a very, very small percentage of the audience got it. We screened it down in Dallas as a preview. And the majority of the people came out saying, why would you make a movie about a band that nobody's ever heard of and a movie about a band that's that bad? I mean, why wouldn't you make a movie about a good band like the Beatles or the Stones or something? I mean, why are you making a movie about this? I think it went way over people's heads, and I think it's only over time, that it's become a cult film and people now recognize it for what it is. And there's another album coming out. I mean, Spinal Tap has gotten together again, and they've released a new album called Break Like the Wind. And and they're doing a tour. They're doing a tour, and so it's like life imitates art, imitates life, and it's, you know. And now everybody understands Spinal Tap. Everybody understands what we were trying to do.
What sort of venues are they going to play?
They're playing all over. They're going to play Wembley Stadium. They're going to play the Royal Albert Hall. They're playing, you know, all over the world. I mean, in some big, big venues.
And of course, they'll play all the favorites like Sex Farm Woman and Big Bottom.
Oh yeah, those, yeah, from the you know, the Black Album, of course, you know. But this is a new album, and there's some great cuts on it. There's not only Break Like the Wind, but Stinking Up the Great Outdoors and Bitch School, which is which they were banning it on MTV for a while because it was too sexy.
How about the criticism that your guy Marty, the director, received for you know, emphasizing too much the conflicts within the band? Because after all, people live together, they travel together, they're creative personalities, there are going to be conflicts, and an outsider comes in, takes it out of context, misrepresents the entire chemistry of the band.
Yeah, I think Marty got a bad rap. You know, he's been criticized. You know, I think Derek Smalls, the bass player, said that I don't understand what this man did. I mean, you know, 60% of the time I get out of that pod. He shows the times that I get stuck in it. He says, what do we think? We're professional musicians. What did we think? That we don't find the stage?
At a long time.
He's been badly criticized for this because I think he was just trying to show the band in a more human light, you know, and that by that way make them more endearing. And I think that the band members are just a little bit upset, and I think they have to get past it because I think you know, they should look at it for what it is. They've now become legends.
Here was the amazing thing.
Not that they weren't legends before.
Well, of course.
But now they're really legends.
On a larger scale, though.
Yeah.
This just amplified the legend.
Yeah, these legends go up to 11.
Here was the amazing thing to me. Yeah, I'm watching the shots of the concert performance of Big Bottom, Big Booty, Big Bottom. I probably shouldn't recite the rest of the lyric. We'll leave it to you if you know it or not.
Talk about bum cakes, my gal's got 'em.
Etc., right?
Yeah.
And, you know, this pretty much looks about as good as a huge portion of what's on MTV. I mean, their performance was about as good as most heavy metal bands.
That was the idea of the film, was that satire would be very close to the bone, that we just tilt it slightly. And the fact is that Chris and Harry and Michael all play. I mean, they're very good, accomplished musicians. They wrote the songs, and they recorded them, and they perform. There's no Milli Vanilli going on there.
What did other rockers say?
It's their Bible. I mean, there's not a rock and roll band on tour that doesn't have a copy of Spinal Tap on the tour bus, and they say it's worn through to the, you know, you can see the other side. I mean, they play it over and over again. I remember meeting Sting a while back when I was casting the Princess Bride, and he said that he'd seen it like 50 times, and he says, I watch it over and over, I look at it, and I don't know whether to laugh or cry, you know, because it's so close to our lives.
Not just a parody of the rock lifestyle and...
Ooh, he said lifestyle. You hear that?
All right.
The rock lifestyle. He didn't say lifestyle. He said the rock lifestyle.
There you
I feel
have it,
better.
ladies and gentlemen.
Draw the line in the sand.
My cover is blown. Dick Cavett will be here tomorrow night. Good night.
Wait, Bob, come back. Bob, don't leave me. Bob, please. Oh, see, I've insulted him now. He feels terrible. All right, I've always wanted to have a talk show, but the problem is when you don't have a guest, it's really difficult. Of course, now I've got Claude Rains here. You know, remember the Invisible Man? He's here, and Chevy Chase, who memoirs of him, Invisible Man. They're all invisible, but they're all here. We got big stars here. I can't keep going, Bob. You got to save me. Come back.
They've agreed to give me a reprieve, a second chance. I'm going to try to mind my P's and Q's here, stay perfect. We move on with Rob Reiner. Stand By Me. How'd you pick the 4 kids?
Well, we just went through the normal casting process. Jane Jenkins, who cast the picture, brought in a lot of kids. I mean, we saw hundreds of kids. And it was just a narrowing down process. It was very tough to find 4 kids who could play. I mean, there are a lot of good child actors, but these were 4 kids who were all from dysfunctional families in the film. They had all been abused to one degree or another, and it was tough to find kids that had that kind of emotional reserve to call on. But they were all very good. I
read that you interviewed them. They were supposed to stay in character, and then you have this sort of interview conversation to see if they would respond the way that character would.
Yeah, well, I didn't do that during the auditions. I did that during the rehearsal process. I almost conducted like a little acting school for them. Before we even went into strict rehearsals with the script, I'd played a lot of theater games. And then one of the games we played was I would interview them as their characters and just ask them questions, lots and lots of questions, to give them a sense of who they are, and so that they started thinking about themselves as the characters rather than as they are as people.
Is it important to give them, not just child actors, but anyone who's going to play a role that has some sort of complexity to it, to give them a history that they can hang their hat on, even if it doesn't get into the movie?
Absolutely. You have to do that with I mean, most actors will do that work on their own. Most good professional actors will all do that work. It's imperative. You can't really know how a character would react in certain situations unless you know what their history is. And not just their history in terms of what schools they went to and where they were born and where they lived, but their emotional history. You know, their mothers and fathers and how they were raised, and you know, the feelings they had as children growing up. It's very important. With Kathy Bates, we went through who played Annie Wilkes in Misery. We went through a very detailed history because it was a character that was so very far away from her. I mean, you know, it wasn't easy to draw on certain things for her. So we went through a very detailed history for her.
So even with a fictional character, fill in as much as possible so that
absolutely the
person's rooted in that character.
Absolutely.
Was it just a lucky coincidence that you were able to work with your buddy Richard Dreyfuss, or was it important that he know you in order to be the narrator, because that character is you?
Well, he came to the project late. As a matter of fact, we had filmed it, and I always did the narrating as a scratch track. I put my voice in as the narrator. And then I thought, even at one point, maybe I would play that guy. But then I thought it seems too weird, you know, because I'm kind of like, you know, where's the separation between the filmmaker and the voice of the narrator? There's no separation there, and I think I wanted to have it. So I asked Rick if he would do it. I actually asked a number of actors before to try the narration, and we put it in, and it never sounded right. It never sounded as the way I heard it in my ear. And Rick Dreyfuss was as close to me then. I mean, you know, we grew up together and went to high school together, and we do have similar backgrounds, and we do have a similar ear for how things are to sound. So that when I showed him the film, and I said, you know, would you consider doing the narrator in this film? And he said, well, if you want, I'll be the character. I'll be in the film in the bookends at the beginning and end of the film. I said, great. Speaking
of casting choices, Nora Ephron said that she thought you should be Harry in When Harry Met Sally. Why did you resist that?
I resisted it because I just felt it was too difficult to act and direct. I mean, certainly people have done it and done it very successfully, but I think for me to split myself off that way was too difficult. Now, Billy Crystal, who was in that, just finished directing a film that he also stars in called Mr. Saturday Night, and he did a sensational job. So people can do it, but it's very difficult work because there are completely different frames of reference and different mindsets for both of those jobs.
How do you imagine you would have played Harry? I mean, obviously there's a different physical type, and Billy was great. Yeah, Billy was great. I think I probably would have played him a little darker and a little bit more depressed, and I think the fact that Billy did it the way he did it made it as successful as it was, because I think Billy is so likable. I mean, no matter how mean he gets, or angry, or dark, or brooding, he still has this warmth and likability that comes through all the time. And I think the blend of my psyche and my emotional state fused with his warmth and likability made for a really good character, a really interesting character. And I think it's a much better film because of Billy. Not all people who have a dark side, a brooding side, are gifted with laughter, are gifted comedically. Well, they all are, by the way. All really great comedians are as angry and depressed and sick as they come. I mean, that's where the humor comes from. I hate to tell you. Well, in many cases... I hate to blow the cover, but it's the truth. You know what? Actually, I agree with you, and that's sort of what I was getting to. Yeah. But since you took it that way, let me ask a different question. Even a guy like Billy, who appears... Billy is the most regular, sane person who does stand-up of anybody I've ever met. I mean, he is... but he's not without his dark side, and he's not without his angers, and he'll be the first to tell you. But I would say he's probably the most normal, regular guy who does that job of anybody I've ever met. Or I think of a guy like Seinfeld, who I know a little bit. I wouldn't claim to be that close to him, but I know him a little bit, and from what I can see, he doesn't seem to be tormented at all. He just seems to be a nice guy who's funny. Yeah, Jerry's not tormented. I don't think Jerry is tormented, but I think that Jerry, I mean, here we are doing armchair analysis of people, but I think Jerry is, his comedy is very observational. He's at arm's length with everything in the world. He's sitting back and making wonderful comedic observations of everything that's going on around him. His comedy is not of his real emotional experience with something, whereas Billy's is to a degree, to a large degree. So I think, if you can be removed in the way that Jerry is, I think you can not, experience that kind of angst. I mean, he's not like Richard Lewis, who uses all of his guts and gaderum and everything to be the source of his comedy. But most comedians, if you look, Woody Allen, I mean, you can go down the list of them. They all have something that's driving them to be funny. Suppose you weren't funny and weren't able to be funny publicly. How bad off would you be personally, do you think? How bad off would I be? Yeah. Oh, I don't think I'd be bad off at all. I mean, I don't think it's, I mean, geez, what a question. I don't think it's a prerequisite for, bad off in what respect? I don't mean career-wise. I just mean personally. If you describe yourself as being much darker than Billy, would have played Harry much darker, have a certain brooding side, I guess, if I'm not taking too many liberties. If there isn't a window to get that out in a positive way, don't you chew yourself up?
Oh, yeah, I think you need to get it out in a positive way, but a positive way doesn't necessarily have to be through humor. You can get it out in a positive way through any type of theater, drama, you know. I mean, it could be a musical, it could be, you know, I mean, Oliver Stone gets his feelings out, you know, certainly in his work and what he does. I mean, I think if you didn't have an outlet, you'd drive yourself crazy, but it doesn't necessarily have to be through a comedic outlet. But I think that helps. I mean, for me, comedy is not something. I don't look at myself as a comedic person, although I have comedy in me, you know, and I was raised certainly, you know, with that background. I just look at it as part of. I try to make films that have some kind of connection with some type of reality, and when you are trying to show reality in any kind of way, I think you have to have humor. I mean, it's not real if there's not some humor in things, you know. There's the dark side and the bright side to everything, every experience. I'm looking for the bright side to this experience now. But you see what I did? I just made it there, so there you go. I just bumped it up a notch. Yeah, good.
It had to be your idea. I'd be surprised if it wasn't, to cast your mom, Estelle.
Yes, it was my idea. I
sitting
wanted
there in the luncheonette.
Yeah, I figured I wanted to do something nice for her, you know, because I'm a nice Jewish boy. You know, you should be nice to your mother, right? So I gave her the best line of any film I've ever done, and no, she did, and she did a great job. She did a really great job.
Now
and I told her, it was a funny story. I told her when we were shooting it, I said to her, "Now you know, Mom, this scene I think is going to be very funny with Billy and Meg faking an orgasm. It could be very funny what Meg is doing. And the line that we've given you, if it doesn't top the scene, I may wind up cutting it because it only works if it tops everything that's gone before it." She said, "That's all right." I said, "I just want to let you know, because if you might wind up not being in the film." She said, "That's all right. I just want to be around you for a day. I just want to spend the day with you." I mean, that was the thing that was fun for her, that we could spend a day together. And we had a good time. We went to Katz's Deli and down on the Lower East Side, and we had a couple of hot dogs, and she did a great job.
This isn't my criticism because I love the film, but I know you probably heard it. Some people said you were cribbing from Woody Allen.
And I got it from a lot of people. I mean, it was so weird because certainly we didn't start out to do that. I mean, I made a film based on my experiences as a single person after having been married for 10 years and being thrown back into the dating world and not knowing how to relate to the opposite sex and making an utter mess of my personal life. And I thought, ooh, this is the grist for a film. And I started working with Nora, and we put all these scenes together and started doing it. And then it was set in New York because that's where I'm from, that's where Nora's from. We know about New York, so we got criticized because it was an adult, somewhat intelligent relationship comedy set in New York City. And that seems to be Woody Allen's turf, and he's carved that out for himself, and anybody who, you know, tries to intrude on that, I think gets slapped down. And the fact that we used some old tunes in it, and they said, well, you use Gershwin tunes, you know, because they did in Manhattan. They used Gershwin tunes, but we used also Cole Porter tunes, and we had Winter Wonderland. We had all kinds of tunes in there, but they chose to say, oh, we used Gershwin tunes. Gershwins are standard. These are standard songs.
Rob Reiner's next film, A Few Good Men, with Tom Cruise and Jack Nicholson, will be released in December, so if you're planning way ahead, leave a night free around Christmas time so you can go and see it. Leave tomorrow night free. He'll be back here with us. We'll talk about television, All in the Family, Princess Bride, wherever else we can fit into half an hour. Until then, see you later.
Thanks for watching Cleveland Live Music. It's awfully bright out here. I'd click on another one of my videos. Quit looking into the sun. Your mother told you not to do that. Please hit the subscribe button. And if you want to support the channel more, there's GoFundMe and Patreon information in the video descriptions. Ooh, ooh!